Most of us learned in school that Earth has one moon. Just one. That big, bright, round object we see in the night sky. We never questioned it. We never thought about it twice. It was just a fact like, the sky is blue or water is wet. But what if that simple answer is not the full story? What if Earth actually has more than one moon? And most people just do not know about it? The truth is, the answer to how many moons does Earth have is more complicated and more interesting than you might think. Let us go on a journey and find out the real answer together. Before we talk about anything else, let us talk about the moon we all know, the one that has been with us for billions of years, the one that lights up our nights and pulls the ocean tides back and forth every single day. Our moon is truly special. It is big and close enough to Earth that we can see details on its surface with our own eyes. Those dark patches are called Maria, which means seas, even though there is no water there. The bright spots are fresh craters made by rocks from space crashing into the surface. Scientists have studied our moon for a very long time, and we even sent people to walk on it during the Apollo missions. Our moon formed about 4.5 billion years ago. Most scientists believe that a large object, about the size of Mars, crashed into the early Earth. That crash sent huge amounts of rock and material flying into space. Over time, all that material came together and formed our moon. It has been circling Earth ever since, slowly drifting a little farther away each year. Today, the moon orbits Earth at an average distance of about 384,000 kilometers. It takes about 29.5 days to complete one full trip around our planet. The same face of the moon always points toward Earth, because the moon rotates at the same speed that it orbits. This is called tidal locking. So we never see the other side of the moon from Earth, which is why it is called the far side. This is our true, permanent, official moon. But it is not the only object connected to Earth. In the year 2020, astronomers made an exciting discovery. They found a tiny object orbiting Earth. It was not a piece of space junk or a broken satellite. It was a real natural object from space, a small asteroid that had been pulled into orbit around our planet. They named it 2020 CD3. Now, this was not a big, grand moon like the one we already have. In fact, 2020 CD3 was incredibly small. It was only about 2 to 4 meters across. To give you an idea of how tiny that is, imagine a large car or a small van floating in space. That was basically the size of this so-called second moon. It was also very dark. It belonged to a type of asteroid called a C-type or carbonaceous asteroid. These asteroids are as dark as wet asphalt on a road. That is one of the reasons it took so long to find it. It was just too small and too dark to spot easily. Scientists believe that 2020 CD3 was probably captured by Earth's gravity around 2017. It had been quietly orbiting our planet for about 3 years before anyone noticed it. But here's the sad part. This little moon did not stick around. Its orbit was not stable. It was chaotic and unpredictable. By April 2020, it had drifted far enough away that Earth's gravity could no longer hold it. It escaped and went back to orbiting the sun on its own. This was not the first time something like this had happened. Back in 2006, another small asteroid called 2006 RH120 also got captured by Earth's gravity and became a temporary moon. It stayed in orbit for almost a full year before escaping. These temporary moons are sometimes called mini-moons, and scientists think they might be more common than we realize. We just do not always spot them because they are so small and dark. Before we go further, it helps to understand what scientists actually mean when they use the word moon. A moon is a natural object that orbits a planet. It is not made by humans, and it goes around the planet because of gravity. It is also called a natural satellite. By that definition, 2020 CD3 was technically a moon, even if only for a short time. It was natural, it was not made by humans, and it was orbiting Earth. But because it was only temporary, most scientists do not count it as a true, permanent moon of Earth. So how many permanent moons does Earth have? Officially, just one. The moon we have always known. But the story does not stop there, because there are other objects out there that behave in very moon-like ways. Here is where things get really interesting. Earth has a group of objects called quasi-satellites. The word quasi means almost or sort of. So a quasi-satellite is an object that almost acts like a moon, but is not quite one. One of the best examples is an asteroid called 2016 HO3. It is found at a distance of about 9 million kilometers from Earth, which is much farther away than our actual moon. If you watch it over time, you will see that it goes around Earth in a big loop. It seems like it is orbiting our planet, but in reality, it is actually orbiting the Sun, just like Earth does. Its orbit around the Sun is very similar to Earth's orbit, just a little bit bigger and more stretched out. Because of this, 2016 HO3 sometimes gets ahead of Earth in its path around the Sun, and then 6 months later it falls behind Earth. This back and forth motion makes it look like it is circling Earth, but it is not truly held by Earth's gravity. If Earth disappeared tomorrow, 2016 HO3 would just keep going around the Sun without any change. Earth has at least 5 known quasi-satellites like this. They are interesting objects, and scientists study them closely, but they cannot be called true moons because they are not actually orbiting Earth. They are orbiting the Sun and just happening to stay near Earth for a long time. You might wonder why Earth only has one real moon, while other planets have many. Jupiter has over 90 moons. Saturn has even more. Even tiny Mars has 2 small moons. So why does Earth have just the one? The answer has to do with something called the Hill sphere. Every planet has a region around it, where its gravity is stronger than the Sun's gravity. This region is called the Hill sphere. Any object that comes inside this region can be captured and held as a moon. Earth's Hill sphere has a radius of about 1.5 million kilometers. That might sound large, but it is actually quite small compared to the Hill spheres of the outer planets. Jupiter and Saturn are much farther from the Sun, which means the Sun's gravity is weaker out there. So those planets have much larger Hill spheres and can capture and hold many more moons. Earth is also relatively close to the Sun, which means the Sun's gravity is quite strong near us. When small asteroids wander close to Earth, the Sun's gravity often pulls them away before Earth can capture them properly. And even when Earth does capture something, like 2020 CD3, the Sun's constant pull disturbs the orbit and eventually causes the object to escape. To permanently capture a new moon, everything would have to happen in just the right way. The asteroid would need to come in at exactly the right angle and speed. Earth's moon might even need to give the asteroid a helpful gravitational nudge to slow it down and settle it into a stable orbit. So far, that perfect combination has not happened again, since our one true moon was formed billions of years ago. While we are on the topic of moons, here's a fun question. Can our moon have its own moon? In theory, yes it can. Any object with enough mass has its own gravity, and that gravity could hold a smaller object in orbit around it. Our moon does have gravity, and so it does have its own Hill sphere. But here's the problem. Our moon's Hill sphere is only about 60,000 kilometers in radius. That is only about 1/6 of the distance between Earth and the moon. Any object orbiting our moon would have to stay within that small zone to be held by the moon's gravity. Beyond that, Earth's gravity would pull it away. Even if something did get into orbit around our moon, it would not last long. Our moon is tidally locked to Earth, which means it always shows the same face to us. This tidal locking creates forces that would slowly pull any orbiting object inward until it crashed into the moon's surface. So even if our moon captured a tiny rock and held it for a while, that rock would eventually spiral down and crash. There is one fascinating example in our solar system of a moon having a moon. An asteroid called Ida, which is about 30 kilometers wide, has a tiny moon called Dactyl. Dactyl is only 1.5 kilometers across and orbits Ida at a distance of about 60 kilometers. Because Ida is not tidally locked to any planet, Dactyl has managed to survive in orbit. Our moon does not have this advantage. There is one more category worth mentioning. Even though these are not natural moons at all, Earth has thousands of human-made satellites orbiting it right now. The International Space Station goes around Earth every 90 minutes. There are weather satellites, communication satellites, GPS satellites, and many others. These are sometimes jokingly called artificial moons because they do orbit Earth just like a moon would. But of course they do not count as real moons. They were built and launched by humans, not formed naturally in space. A moon, by definition, must be a natural object. There is also a lot of space junk up there. Old rocket parts, broken satellites, and small pieces of debris that are still going around Earth. None of these count as moons either, for the same reason. So how many moons does Earth have? The official, scientific answer is one. Our moon, sometimes simply called the moon with a capital M, is Earth's only permanent, natural satellite. It has been with us for billions of years, and will continue to orbit us for billions more. But the fuller, more complete answer is that Earth sometimes has temporary visitors. Small asteroids occasionally get captured by our gravity and become mini-moons for a short time before escaping again. Earth also has 5 known quasi-satellites that travel alongside us around the Sun and look like moons but are not truly captured by our gravity. The universe is always moving, always changing, and always surprising us. The question of how many moons Earth has might seem simple, but the real answer opens a door into the fascinating science of gravity, orbits, and the ever-changing nature of our solar system. Next time you look up at the night sky and see that familiar glowing circle, remember that it is not just a pretty light. It is a complicated, ancient, deeply connected companion that has shaped Earth's history in ways we are still discovering. And who knows, someday, a new mini-moon might drift into our neighborhood and stay for a little while, adding one more chapter to this ongoing story.